Hey, you're listening to the Boston Celtics newsfeed. This is Celtics Roundtable. I'm Matt Ignall alongside Eddie Santiago and Evan Valenti. We're going to do another question and answer session here. So with that, we're going to get right into it.
We've been talking about Zaire has been pretty adamant about the Celtics as a high-powered offensive team, and they've been scoring in the upper 100s in terms of like single digits into the 100 teens. Like they've been doing that all season long. And Zaire has always been adamant that they still need to unlock a little bit of part of their offense. But what's been really fun is for guys like myself, I think, and a lot of other people, that they're starting to find their defensive identity a little bit here. And they're starting to get back to old defensive habits. And even against Minnesota, where the first half wasn't the best defensive effort, they really cranked it up in the second half and really took Minnesota's took the life out of the team.
Because 20th in defense probably isn't going to cut it, but I'm optimistic given the guys that they have and given that everyone's healthy. What say you, Eddie?
I mean, over the last 15, they've had the fifth highest defensive rating. They're fifth in defensive ratings. I think they're finally getting into their defensive identity from last year that carried them to the team. And then this offense is, if it can keep up at the pace it's been all season, which there's no reason to believe why it's not. I think, like Matt said, it's a little bit of both. But I think finding that defensive identity, I think it's a defensive team first because with this defense, they've been able to close that gap. Now they've got that defensive identity, and now they're second in the 2 games back of the 1 seed in the East.
Now that they got everybody healthy, they can get everybody back and start to really find their groove. And you look at the other teams in the NBA, I mean, other teams that are elite are good at both things. Like, we always talk about Golden State's offense. So, the casual fan always talks about Golden State's offense, but everybody sort of forgets that they are an elite defensive unit. You look at the San Antonio Spurs; they're a really good defensive unit. They're unbelievably elite at that end. But yet, you watch their offense; they always make the right read, the right moves at the right times. Cleveland, because they have LeBron, will always be good defensively and offensively because he's just so good at everything on the floor. So if you want to be with the elite teams, you have to be good at both. You can't just be a defensive team and get far. That's not how it works. You have to be good at both. And Boston finding their footing in both areas. I mean, it's been an entire season of offense, but defensively finding their footing and starting to lock things down on that part of the floor. Again, that's going to be, the reason why they get separated from not only the teams in the bottom half of the Eastern Conference in terms of like the 7, 8, the 6 seeds, but from Toronto and from Washington. Next question.
Recall that Minnesota Timberwolves game on Wednesday. The Timberwolves defense kind of looked soft there, but they clearly have a ton of young talent on this team. What do you guys think is the path forward for the Timberwolves? I imagine they're going to be a playoff team next year. And do you think that they could be a major rival of the Celtics over the next few years as both teams project to get really, really good? Evan, let's start with you.
Well, I think the plan is, right? I think if both teams, they have very high expectations for themselves for a couple of different reasons, but it's kind of the way they're set up. I mean, you look at Minnesota, they already have the young talent on their roster. When you get a guy like Karl Anthony Towns, like your ceiling becomes much higher, and you start to have much higher expectations. It was already high with Wiggins, right? Because Wiggins was this great guy to watch in college, a raw prospect who was starting to figure himself out, and now he's this ridiculous scorer with a ton of athleticism. People think that might be the next quote-unquote Golden State with a bunch of superstars on it, and we're forgetting about Zach LaVine, who's been out for a while. Like, you just have a bunch of young, talented guys that can grow together and play together and maybe become that next Warriors team. And you could say ditto for the Celtics because it's a little bit different. And the way they're set up is a little bit different. But they have a bunch of young talent potentially coming. They have a bunch of proven talent already there. They have a bunch of cap space that will be available to them. The idea is for both teams to contend. Like, if you look at Boston's timeline, sometimes you don't look at Golden State. Sometimes you don't look at Cleveland because you can't contend with them right now. But you look at a team like Minnesota and say, maybe that's the team we should be trying to contend with. If Minnesota's not there, then they need to figure out what to do because you have Karl Anthony Towns as one of the best young players in the NBA, and if you can't build around that, you're doing something wrong.
They need to get some veterans in there, like just some proven veterans that have been through the grind of an NBA season. Those guys are really, really young. They don't know how to win in the NBA. Bringing Andre Iguodala as a free agent next year, maybe bringing a guy like him who's been through it because it seems like his time in Golden State might be up. So March Madness is about to kick off. And I'm hoping my Mountaineers make it to the Final Four. I will be headed to Phoenix if that happens. But with a hot tournament, with the draft, the tournament has been known to give players a boost in their draft stock. Who are some players that you think can get a boost in their draft stock with a hot tournament?
I feel like we know most of these players right now, so I doubt anyone moves all that much right now. I mean, there's still a few things that I'm looking for in some of these prospects. I would like to see, if the going gets tough on Lonzo Ball, what can he do? Can he find ways to get a little bit better in the pick and roll? Can he diversify his scoring output a little bit? Can he take matters into his own hands? He's the guy that jumps out for me as someone. I mean, he's probably going to go top 2. So I don't know how much he can improve his stock, but I think all eyes are kind of going to be on him, especially a potential monster 2-3 game against Kentucky, perhaps coming in a couple weeks. I'm going to be really looking at that. Yeah, he's the one that stands out to me. What about you, Evan?
I got a couple of guys. First one is a little more obvious, and they're gonna get little less obvious as we go. First one, I think, is Jonathan Isaac can really help himself. I'm a big Jonathan Isaac fan. I've been doing it all season long. I just love how weird he is and how in a game that's really predicated on big men with skill that can space the floor and still, crash the boards and still block shots and switch. Like, he is just a very unique guy. But there's some other guys that might be able to jump into that top 10 discussion. I think Lauri Markkanen is already in that discussion, but again, with a great tournament for him, he could get up a little bit further, make himself a little bit more money. Two guys, though, I think, with great tournaments can really help themselves. One of them is a little more obvious with a guy like Harry Giles, who has been not underwhelming because of the situation. Guy having an ACL tear his senior year at high school, obviously it's going to take a while to get back to form, whatever level he's on. But him having a solid tournament, not a dominant tournament, he's not going to go out there and dominate, but a solid tournament, show scouts and things that he's a little bit healthier, that could help him out. But another guy that I like a lot, though, who also plays for Arizona, is Alonzo Trier, who is, to me, the key for Arizona going really deep in this tournament, because he, as much as I like Lauri Markkanen, sometimes he's the best player on the team, and he's the reason why they go. And I love the way he plays sometimes, and he's one of the guys that we talk about, these wing players in the draft. He kind of gets lost in the shuffle. I think he's a pretty good offensive talent and can definitely make a move. And I'll even throw De'Aaron Fox in there, too. If he's going to start hitting threes, he could have a move like Justice Winslow move up there.
I got a couple guys, too. I think Luke Kennard from Duke, who's already moved himself up a little bit. And if he can have himself a hot tournament, keep shooting well from three, he can move himself into probably just outside the top 10. And a guy like Josh Hart at Villanova, I think he can move himself up a lot too. He's averaging 18 or 19 and 6 right now. Yeah, he's 22 years old, but he's pretty much the leader of that team. I think he can go out there and get himself into the late 20s or early 20s discussion if he goes out there and has a hot tournament.
Yeah, Villanova's my title pick, so with the title, you boost your stock. That tends to happen. I mean, look what happened to Kemba Walker. Hey, they were right about him. Yeah, I'm not holding my breath for Jonathan Isaac to become like a go-to scoring option this year. I think that's something that might happen, several years down the line with several offensive leaps from him. De'Aaron Fox is really interesting to me because, like, if he had that outside jumper, like, man, he would be in that Fultz ball tier. I'm pretty sure about that because he can get to the rim probably better than both of those guys. Definitely better than Ball. Probably even better than Fultz. He's so athletic. He's crazy. I mean,
you guys know how big a fan I am of De'Aaron Fox.
You've been repping him all year. I mean,
he's a blur.
With just how he moves, and he's a guy who I think definitely could rise a bit with a strong tournament. I think we covered most of the guys. And then Jason Tatum, too, if he continues his hot play.
Yeah, I said in the group chat, nobody's improved themselves more than Jason Tatum this year from beginning to end.
Nobody.
Granted, Tatum started injured this year, but even given that, the dude's been phenomenal. He's done everything. The other day, I want to say it was the game against North Carolina. He grabbed 5 rebounds in a row. It was crazy. I was like, this guy's in there just grabbing rebounds with the best of them. He's out there just getting buckets. He just knows how to score. He's got a great stroke. He's really, really good.
All right, then I should let you know that today's roundtable is being brought to you by the SeatGeek ticketing app. I can personally attest to SeatGeek being the easiest way to get great deals on every Celtics game. And as the Celtics playoff push heats up, SeatGeek is also the smartest way to get tickets to every game. With their seamless mobile experience, you can buy and sell tickets in just 2 taps. And it doesn't end with the Celtics or any other NBA game. SeatGeek also has plenty of concert, comedy, and theater tickets available too. And it's all fully guaranteed. Listeners to CLNS Radio can support this production and get a $20 rebate off their first SeatGeek purchase. Here's how. Download the free SeatGeek app, go to the Settings tab and click Add a Promo Code, and enter the promo code CELTSNEWS, all one word, and SeatGeek will send you $20 after you've made your first ticket purchase. Download the free SeatGeek app and enter the promo code CELTSNEWS today.
Matt, you talked with Sam Vecini. Is he the biggest fan of the Jason Tatum fan club? Seems like he might be.
I don't know if you guys listen to the Game Theory podcast, but he speculated that lots of NBA front office people have had him as number one on their board. So I brought him in because he was high on Jason Tatum. I really like him. I don't know if I have him quite ahead of Josh Jackson just yet at this point, where because I'm just so enamored with Jackson's athleticism and his motor. But I have no idea who's actually going to be better of those two.
Yeah, Jackson's playmaking ability is something I really like. When he has the ball in his hands, he does some special things.
Yeah. But both these guys, I think, hitting the 3-point shot is going to be huge for them in their development. I'm a little bit more confident in Tatum in that regard, just because of the massive difference in his and Jackson's free throw shooting. But we'll see. It'll be interesting. I think both guys are going to be really good.
If you had to pick a guy to make the big jump, I think a lot of us are on De'Aaron Fox. If I had to guess, right? Well, is there a scenario where he goes higher than Malik Monk? You think?
Yeah,
I think he probably goes higher than him right now. I mean, there's a lot of point guard needy teams coming that's going to be at the top of the draft.
Yeah, but people love shooting though. Like somebody like Sacramento will take him like 5 or something.
I feel like Monk's definitely a safer pick. That you're getting an excellent shooter with him. De'Aaron Fox, I don't know what he's going to be in the NBA, but if he does become that shooter, watch out, because I think then you're going to see multiple All-Star appearances.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, this is definitely a point guard heavy draft. I'm a big DSJ fan too.
You like Dennis Smith?
I do.
What about him? What's the best thing? Just like the sheer athleticism?
Yeah, he just goes out there and gets it. The dude competes. Like when he had a triple double against Duke. Like I watched that game, it was phenomenal. The dude is still out there. Averaged 18, 5, and 6 this year. It was crazy.
He's weird because he'll have a great game one night, and then the next night he'd score 8 points or something, and just kind of look a little bit disinterested. So he's a weird one to peg. He's definitely good for a 19-year-old, but at times it was almost joyless watching him.
I think you have to be patient with him.
You had a terrible team.
Markelle Fultz had a terrible team.
You didn't look happy out there playing either.
No, it was kind of joyless watching the both of them. I did not really look forward to either of their games too much.
Even the game against UCLA where it was painful to watch because Markelle would just get double teamed immediately. But it was I love watching those type of guys that are you know what, get out of my way, I'm still gonna score. I love that stuff. It was like watching Ben Simmons, where it was he clearly doesn't like playing on this team, but still puts up huge numbers, and you just look at him. Bored. Yeah, and you're like, wow, this guy's bored and he's out here dominating right now. Man, if he was engaged, holy crap.
Oh, man. Yeah, this is, if you need a point guard, this is definitely the draft.
Yeah, Philly. Looking at you, son.
Philly, the Knicks, the Kings.
The Kings. The Kings
need a new front office.
The Kings need to do everything. Oh, God.
All right, that'll do it here at Celtics Roundtable on the Boston Celtics newsfeed. Give us a follow on Twitter at CLNS Roundtable, and you can help us out in a big, big way by going to iTunes and giving the Boston Celtics newsfeed a 5-star rating. We would really appreciate that. Use the promo code CELTSNEWS, all one word, on your next SeatGeek purchase to save $20. We'll see you next time.